Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to get the necessary Capsim information into your spreadsheet so that you can then make some decisions for a specific product. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pretend I'm one of the companies, and I'm going to open up what I previously downloaded, which is the Courier Capstone from round 1 of a iteration of this Capstone course that I'm teaching. And you can see that it starts off and gives you financial statistics. I'm going to pick a company that generated a loss the first time. I think I'm going to pick Chester right here because they generated a loss of 2.5 million. They didn't have an emergency loan, which is great. They had a fairly low margin here as well. You want to strive for a contribution margin of at least 30%. So and they had a profit of negative 2.5 million. So I want to help Chester improve. Those are the metrics that you look at most critically. Would be the sales level compared to everybody else, which is amongst the lowest. You're going to look at the profits, which is a negative figure, and I'm going to look at the contribution margin, which is fairly low as well compared to the other teams. And that's okay. This is just was a practice round, and we're going to figure out how to improve. The other thing you look at is the stock price, and you can see Chester had the biggest drop in stock price as well. So there were some decisions made that made people lose confidence in the future of this stock. But that's okay. We're learning. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at all the different products that were made. All the products for Chester start with a C, so these are all their products right here, and we can see that they sold the most of cedar, and they sold a fair amount of cake as well, and then they had these other as well that they sold less of. So let's go and let's look at cake just to start with to see how it did and everything. Let's go down. I want to find a product that didn't do that well. Let's look at cake. They actually had the highest customer satisfaction score for cake, which is good. So we want to maybe analyze why that happened. The reason they had such a good customer satisfaction score was, if you look in this segment, which is traditional, the ideal age was 2, and cake had an age of 2.35, which was actually really good next to days. So it had a good age, which was fine. What else happened here? Next is the price. Between 1950 and 2950, their price was 2450, which meant they were at the low end of that range, or the mid-low end. That might be one reason they didn't make as much profit, is that they priced it really, really low. Of all the highly rated products, theirs was the lowest. So that might be one reason that they didn't make as big a profit, and sales was because this price was so low. How'd they do on performance and size? They had, okay, it was expected to be 5.7 and 14.3. They were at 5.0 and 14. So that meant that they were lagging a bit behind in performance, and they hit the size where it needs to be. You can see they were right in the middle of the perceptual map, which is good. And I happen to know that the traditional segment doesn't have an offset. You want to hit it right in the middle. Okay? So that's my size up here, is that they did well, but I think they left money on the table by having their price too low relative to their competitors. They could raise it a bit. Their closest one was Eat. Now, how did they do in terms of awareness and accessibility? They had lower awareness and accessibility than their next competitor, which was Eat. So they're going to have to boost that to match what Eat did. In terms of accessibility, they were good. They were just a little shy on the awareness, so that's something to do in the future. But overall, they had a pretty good product, but for some reason that didn't translate into a lot of sales. Now let's look at why. Ah, I see. Look up here in the actual and potential area, all this right here. This area right here for Chester. The potential shows how much they could have sold had they made enough of the product, meaning they had manufactured enough of it. They had the potential to have like a 24% market share, but they only got a 15% market share because they didn't make enough. So what happened is other teams that may not have even had as good a product ended up getting that demand that they could have had, and that's why you see Ferris outstripped its potential. And that's why Andrews outstripped its potential. See how its actual is higher than its potential? And that's why Baldwin did as well. It's because there was a really good product here from Chester, but they just didn't make enough of it. So what I'm seeing here is Chester needs to learn to forecast sales better. So let's see what we can do with this product, cake, in order to make decisions for it in the future. So to start off with, I need to go into the spreadsheet, which I'm going to bring up here. And this is going to be for product cake in the traditional segment. Now, Chester has a lot of products that starts with C. You have to do this for every product. That's why it helps to have your team contributing and helping you make these decisions. First thing you want to do is you want to estimate what customers' performance and size expectations are for the next round. Now, you assume that people are following a strategy, and I'm going to assume that you're following a differentiator strategy, a broad differentiator strategy where you focus in on making the product as good as it can be in terms of performance and size, or at least making it stand out in a way that is important to the customer. And in this case, I think their number one criterion was, let's have a look in the Courier, was age. So that's most important. Then is price, and then performance and size, and then last, mean time between failures. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go in and estimate all of the customer expectations for all these things, and then we're going to make decisions to bring them in line with what the customers are expecting in this segment, okay? Following a differentiator strategy. So last period's performance for the segment, and that's what this is for, was, and we go back into the Courier, and we see that it was 5.7 for performance and 14.3 for size. So we go 5.7, 14.3. 5.7, 14.3. And then each time around processes, this changes the expected size and performance to a better performance and a smaller size. For that, you have to go into this industry conditions report and scroll down and see what's going to happen with it. It's supposed to happen, and we're in the traditional segment, so performance is going to, expectations will go up by 0.7 and size will go down by negative 0.7. So what we do is we go back into the spreadsheet and we put plus 0.7, it's got to be a decimal here, okay, and minus 0.7. And then you have to check the industry conditions report for the offset. And in this case, if you check down here where it says ideal spot offsets right here, traditional has no offset. You want to hit right the center of it. If it has an offset, it means you're cutting off center to really meet the requirements of the customer. So in this case, we just would put in 0 for the offset. If you were doing a different segment, you would use the offsets in that industry conditions report I had up a minute ago here. But it's 0 for this, and then the spreadsheet will recalculate what the next target performance should be and what its size should be. Okay? And now what we do is we look into the Courier report and we see what our product cake's actual performance and size is now. Cake is 5 and 14. So what I do is I go into the spreadsheet and I type 5 and 14. Okay, so let's compare all this here, and I'm going to just center this so it looks nice. We can see that we need to R&D our product cake so that it is up to 6.4, and we want to make the size a little bit smaller as well. And we want to, as a matter of practice, to make sure any research and development decisions we make take effect within the next round's year. So we don't get so aggressive with our research and development that we're not going to see the benefits for 2 years. We just do enough that we can see it in the next year. Sooner is better in the next year so we can get the financial benefits of it. Okay? So now we know that we're going to have to try to R&D this product to hit 6.4 and 13.6 as close as we can while making our product release within the next round's year. Okay? That's one decision made right there. Do that. Get it to reach this. Okay? That's what cake needs to do. Now let's look at the pricing expectations. The pricing expectations, again, are found in the courier, and we're in the traditional segment, and we see that the price range is $19.50 to $29.50. That's $19.50 to $29.50. And that means you lose 50 cents every round. People expect it to be 50 cents cheaper, so that means next round there people are expecting $19 and $29 even. And I'm going to give a couple decimal places here so it looks nice. Okay, that is the, whoops, that's not right. That's right. That's the expectation next round. Now, what's our current price? Let's have a look. We go into the courier, and we were charging $24.50. So we go here and we charge $24.50. Now, we have to make a decision on this. I think this is priced a bit low. I know some competitors are a bit lower, and that price is, I think, the second most important criterion next to age. But I would consider maybe raising the price a little bit, as much as I could cautiously, to try to improve sales a little bit. And I might go to 25. This is a judgment call, as much as a lot of Capstone is judgment calls, but I feel the farm was given away here. I would go back and I would look here and try to anticipate what my competitors are going to be doing, but you know, this one here, they had 28, our closest competitor at 30 and 38, and they were at 25. And price is second most important. And they're going to be close to me in age as well, so I'd probably hover around 25, I think would be my price next time. Okay, the next thing, the age, and we know the age is the most important criterion here, so we want to make sure that this age is right. Now, we already know we have to R&D if we want to hit the customer expectations for performance and size, but we need to have a feel for how old our product will be next round if we do R&D. And the rule is that any R&D cuts your product's age in half. If you don't do anything to your product, then it gets a year older. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type in what my product's age was last round, and cake was 2.35 years. So I'm going to go 2.35. And cutting it in half means that it will be 1.12 or 1.175 years old next time. And if I don't do any R&D, it will be older. I believe it's better to be slightly younger than what your customers want, and again, this is the most important criterion in the traditional segment. So this is a good decision we're going to be due. So the decision, R&D the product. And the product. And this, even if you R&D it a little bit, even if you don't achieve 6.4 and 13.6, which is the next target performance and size, the fact that you did some R&D will cut the age in half. Okay, the last thing is the mean time between failure expectations. These are constant throughout the whole simulation, and you just look here. This is only 9% of the decision. It's between 14 and 19,000 is what customers expect. And we are at, cake is at 17.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just type all that in and make a decision. 14,000 to 19,000, and then we were at 17,500. That's my product's current mean time between failure, 17,500. We're within range, and this is the least important criterion, so I'm just going to leave this the way it is. If you R&D in order to reduce your mean time between failures, it increases your material costs, and then that hurts your contribution margin. And I think that's one reason Chester might have had a lower contribution margin, was because when we assessed earlier on, because they maybe did a little too much mean time between failures, which increases their material costs, I would assume anyway. That's my guess. Okay, so that's what we've done. We have made some decisions. We're going to R&D to 6.4 and 13.6 if we can make that happen within the next year. If we can't make it happen in the next year, we're going to get as close to that as we can, with still having a reasonable amount of the year available to make sales. We're going to price it at $25. We are going to make sure we research and develop the product to get the age below what our customers are expecting so that they buy it, and we're going to leave the mean time between failures at 17,500. And now we'll move on in the next video to to, well, make R&D decisions means basically just doing what I recapped here in terms of R&D. And then we're going to move on to creating the sales forecast using this spreadsheet. So move on to video 3.